Welcome to the Brain Alpha. Have you ever felt like success is just kind of out of reach? Like no matter how hard you grind, you're just spinning your wheels? Well, today we're diving into an explainer on neuroscientist Dr. Sueda Adia's completely groundbreaking concept. She argues that success isn't some genetic lottery ticket that you either win or lose. It's actually an inherent right that we can all unlock. And the secret? It's not necessarily about working harder. It's literally just about changing your brain's wiring. Okay, let's dive into this. We've all bought into that classic American myth at some point, right? You know the one? The idea that billionaires, top CEOs, and these massive industry titans were just born with superior physical brain hardware. But looking at the neuroscience, that is completely false. Physically speaking, their brains are exactly the same as ours. The only real difference, and this is an absolute game changer, is how they use their brain's software. They've essentially programmed themselves to default to a completely different operating system. And the best part? We can do exactly the same thing. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll unpack the brain wiring myth. Then we'll learn how to override with 13 seconds, build the MOVERS morning routine, grow with daily neurobiotics, and finally, write your brand's user manual. Think of this as a highly actionable software upgrade for your mind. All right, let's jump right into step one, the brain wiring myth. You know how easy it is to blame ourselves when we fail to build a new productivity habit? We always think, oh, I just don't have the willpower. But it's actually not a willpower problem at all. It's a wiring problem. When faced with stress or a tough challenge, 99% of people process that problem using their limbic system. This is your emotional, anxious, highly reactive center. It's the part of your brain that literally causes you to freeze up or panic. Highly successful people, on the other hand, intentionally route those same challenges to their prefrontal cortex. That's the logical, calm, problem-solving part of the brain. If you try to process a complex logic problem in your emotional center, your system is going to crash every single time. Moving right along to step two, override with 13 seconds. So you're probably wondering, how do we actually switch tracks when things get stressful and chaotic? 13 seconds. Yep, you heard that right. That is literally all it takes to completely shift your brain's control center from pure panic mode back into the driver's seat. It sounds almost too simple to be true, I know, but it is deeply rooted in how our neuroscience works. Here is exactly how you pull off this hack. Step one, when you feel that emotional spike, just pause and take a really deep breath. Step two, start counting backwards from 100 in your head. So 99, 98, 97, and keep doing that for exactly 13 seconds. Step three, smoothly shift into logic mode. So why does this actually work? Well, the limbic system, your emotional center, cannot process complex math. It's terrible at it. By forcing your brain to count backwards, that emotional center physically has to hand over the controls to the prefrontal cortex to do the math. You're literally forcing a software reboot right in the middle of a stressful situation. Now for step three, the MOVERS morning routine. Okay, so once you know how to handle stress during the day, you really need to know how to start your morning properly. You've got to boot up your brain for peak performance. But first, we have to avoid what Dr. Adia calls the American trap. Imagine this, waking up, immediately grabbing your phone to doom scroll social media, and then chugging a massive iced coffee. Sound familiar? That immediate screen time completely hijacks your focus, basically letting the rest of the world dictate your morning. And all that instant caffeine? It forces your brain from first gear straight into fifth gear way too fast, flooding your whole system with unnecessary stress. Instead of that jolt of anxiety, what we actually need to cultivate are beta waves. These represent the brain's state of logical thinking and high concentration. To really hit peak performance, we have to intentionally trigger these beta waves during that critical first hour of the day, rather than just stumbling through the morning in a half-awake, reactive daze. And here is the ultimate sequence to do exactly that, the MOVERS protocol. Let's rapidly break down this acronym because it's brilliant. M is for meditation, just 5 minutes to calm the mind. O is for oxygen. Try using the 4-7-8 deep breathing technique to really fuel the brain. V is for visualization of your daily goals. E stands for a quick 5-minute exercise just to get the blood flowing. R is for reading positive material. And finally, S is for scribing, which is just a fancy way of saying write down your thoughts to flush out all that mental clutter. This specific sequence naturally awakens the brain and clears out the noise, completely skipping that instant caffeine shock. Which brings us to step 4, grow with daily neurobics. Now that we've totally dominated the morning, how do we maintain that sharpness and actively prevent cognitive decline?
Now, routine is great, right? Because it saves us a ton of mental energy. But staying on autopilot for too long actually causes the brain to stagnate and age. Enter neurobics. Think of these as mental gymnastics. They are exercises that break your daily autopilot routines by introducing mild, unfamiliar sensory stimuli. Doing this sparks entirely new neural pathways and keeps your brain young, agile, and constantly growing.
And hey, you don't need some expensive brain training app for this. Everyday neurobonics are incredibly simple. Try brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hands tomorrow morning. I promise it's gonna feel super weird, but that is exactly the point. Take a completely different route on your morning commute. Or honestly, just sit in a new chair at the office or at your dining room table. These tiny little disruptions force your prefrontal cortex to wake up, come back online, and break you right out of autopilot. If you want to see what this looks like at the genius level, look at Leonardo da Vinci. He famously trained his brain using mirror writing, literally writing completely backward from right to left. That is an advanced neurobic exercise. It puts a heavy, incredibly healthy load on your brain by forcing it to coordinate your vision with entirely unfamiliar motor skills. It's a fantastic brain workout. Finally, let's look at step 5, your brain's user manual. The ultimate software upgrade requires you to understand your own specific hardware specs, right? I mean, you can't just run someone else's code and expect it to work perfectly on your machine. For instance, we all have different biological peak focus times, which are known as chronotypes. Lions peak super early, from 5 to 8 a.m. Bears are standard, peaking around 10 to 11 a.m. Wolves are your classic night owls, hitting their stride at 3 p.m. or later. And dolphins just kind of fluctuate daily. So if you are a night owl wolf, forcing yourself into a 5 a.m. lion's MOVERS routine is going to fail miserably. Finding your unique peak focus time is absolutely crucial. Beyond just timing, we also have totally different processing styles. Are you a single tasker? Someone who thrives on intense, narrow focus, hunting down one goal at a time? Or are you a multitasker, utilizing broad, simultaneous processing to keep a dozen plates spinning at once? The secret here is that neither is wrong, but recognizing your inherent style prevents so much frustration, and it helps you optimize your workflow to match your natural strengths rather than constantly fighting against them. Let's wrap it all up in section 6, the Alpha Brain Protocol. Let's bring all these incredible concepts together. The big takeaway from this explainer is this: stop blindly copying other people's habits. Seriously, stop mimicking the generic 4 a.m. routines of Silicon Valley tech billionaires if they don't fit your biology. Instead, use these neuroscience rules: mastering your prefrontal cortex with that 13-second hack, booting up smoothly with the MOVERS routine, doing your daily neurobics, and really respecting your personal chronotype. Use those tools to write your very own user manual, because that is how you optimize your specific, unique cognitive style. So I want to leave you with this final question to think about. Will you take control of your brain's wiring today? The power to succeed is literally already inside your head, just waiting for the right software upgrade. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and help us build the hype. See you in the next video. Bye-bye!